Starts out in that man-to-man defense. And right away, Maryland goes to Lenny Bias. What a great backdoor cut. Ferry tried to come over and help out, but was too late. Great pass inside and a great cut by Len Bias.
And the Maryland fans are saying, welcome back to College Park for Danny Ferry. A great pass by Gatlin and Bias with a big chance.
Lenny Bias got behind David Henderson. Ferry came over to help out. Ferry is not the kind of jumper that Len Bias is.
Well, you say that about 95% of the guys in this game. And Lenny Bias starts a three-point play and puts Maryland on top 3-0. But looking for a shot against Amaker, goes low to Bias. A turnaround, got it. Lenny Bias with 5, and it's a 5-point lead. 3 forward. Johnson had to pick up his dribble, and the jumper is good by Bias. Len Bias told me before the game that he has not really played well yet. A lot of people wouldn't believe it, but he said he's going to be great tonight. King in the ballgame for the first time. He's number 55, but Len Bias got it low, double-teamed or not. He still scored. Lenny Bias has 9 and Maryland 17.
Lenny Bias probably works as hard as anybody in the country without the basketball. Bias trying to get open. You can see he tries the outside. There's Mark Allery coming out with pretty good defense, but it's just hard to pick a guy up as Duke tries to switch in the lane. But watch Bias, just back and forth, back and forth. Not too many guys who will work that hard to get the basketball.
And he'll do it the entire game. 11:48 to go first half. Maryland by 2 over Duke. We'll be back with more from College Park after this. Won a game at University Hall. Bias, great move to the bucket. The basket will not count. There was a whistle before. And the foul is going to go on Weldon Williams, who's in for the first time, and the crowd wanted that intentional 2-shot foul again.
Len Bias moving without the ball. That time he showed you a good quick first step getting around Weldon Williams, and Weldon Williams guarding him, Mike, is significant. That's another player off the Duke bench. You really have to wonder how long Lenny Bias can keep going full speed with the Blue Devils continually rotating fresh players off on him.
Gatlin gets it to Bias, working on Williams, got by him. Oh, what a great move, and drew the foul from Strickland. Give fouls like that.
He sure can. This is Strickland, who's a player off the bench for Duke, coming back very hard to help out against Len Bias. Nice move by Bias to get around Williams, but again, every time Bias gets to the basket, as you get a look at Coach Lefty Drizel, he's got people coming to him. Weldon Williams with 2 fouls, now Strickland with 1. Those are just throwaway fouls. Just they're leaning on Lenny Bias.
Bias hit his first free throw tonight. He is 5th in the conference in free throw percentage at 82.9. Ranks up there in just about everything.
And Bias has been to the free throw line like 82 times coming into this game, and that's a very large number of times to be to the line in 11 games.
One of those rare players that has a pure jump shot from 17 feet and can also go very strong to the bucket. And ranked 3rd in the nation. Bias, double team, has it knocked away again, goes back and gets it. Len Bias just trying to do it all himself. The basket will not count, but we've got a foul on Ferry.
That's something Len Bias really shouldn't try to do, Mike. If that's on Ferry, and it is, that's 3 fouls on Danny Ferry.
Foul number 35 for the Blue Devils.
Bias certainly draws a crowd whenever he gets the ball for Maryland, and it's tough for him, particularly when he has to dribble it, because for every dribble that he makes, he's got to figure that another Duke defender is coming his way. Speed was bad. It was thrown to the side where Henderson was standing.
Bias turnaround jumper won't go. The foul, I believe, is going to be on Billy King. It'll be his 2nd in a hurry.
Get a look at Len Bias there. He worked so hard inside for the basketball. King right on him. 2nd foul on Billy King, but again, fresh people keep running right at Lenny Bias. And the problem that Bias faces, even though he may get good position inside, somebody has to throw him the ball. Duke puts such great pressure on the outside that it's difficult to find Bias when he's open.
Bias with 13 points, 5 out of 5 from the line tonight. He's been shut down really since early in the ballgame when he had the hot hand.
That's right, he had 9 points right out of the gate. He had 13 at halftime. He played 6 minutes in the second half. He's still stuck on 13.
They get 14 now, and it's 55 to 39. 14:07 to go in the ballgame.
To the press.
Johnson to Bias. Nice fake to get by King. Picked up by 2 other players. Scores anyhow.
Series right now, Mike.
Henderson, bad pass. Allery trying to save it. Does, but it's picked off by Baxter. Baxter inside to Bias.
Now that's the 2-shot foul. That's got to be it.
That is There's a two-shot foul. You got it.
Now, one of the disadvantages having your big guys in the backcourt like that is they sometimes throw the ball away. Henderson, I think, went over and was going to belt Bias and got better of it at the last minute. That's the correct call on that, but I actually think this view you just saw, he was trying to catch Bias on the way down.
Ruled intentional with two-shot foul. The basket was also good.
Len Bias will go to the line. He's 6 of 7 so far, trying to win back-to-back scoring titles in the ACC. It's the free throw. 57-46. He could cut it to 10 with one more. Baxter and Gatlin now in at the guards. Johnson is also in there, so Lefty Driesell going with a 3-guard offense. Trying to get the quickness he's going to need to press on defense. Bias hits again.
Bias tonight.
Baxter with a tough shot, in and out. Nice rebound by Bias in the lane, and Len Bias with a follow shot. 22 for Lenny Bias.
It's one of the few times Bias has been able to dribble the ball inside without being besieged by Duke defenders.
Is 15 for Duke.
Get a chance to see Lenny Bias. As we said, Duke has guarded him with everybody out on the court tonight. Here he's trying to set up against Mark Allery. That's the kind of pressure that Bias has had to deal with all night long.
That's Tuesday, 8 p.m.
That's what happens when you're an All-American, isn't it?
Good rebound by Bias. Allery actually didn't block him out. Bias was able to get loose inside for one of the few times.
Bias came into the game hitting 52.2% of his field goals. A little under that average right now, but he does tend to draw a lot of attention. Off, Johnson trying to penetrate. Bias follow. He just does everything.
It's one of the few times he's been that open inside. Somebody just forgot to block him out.
24 for Len Bias. 67-53. Back to Gatlin.
Duke is back to the man-to-man. King's in the game. He's guarding Bias now.
So is Billis, and Bias makes the jump shot anyhow. It's tough to tell who's guarding him because when he gets the ball, everybody collapses. 26 points for Lenny Bias. Back in the ball game, Bias goes to the line. Bias with 26. Just turns in one great game after another.
Unfortunately, in the ACC, Mike, you got to have more than one horse.
Well, he's got 26 points, missed that free throw. 26 points will not win ball games, not if the other 4 members of your team only have 34.
That was pretty good ciphering.
That's what we called it in West Virginia. Put away yet another victory. It would be their second of the conference season. Bias, what a foul. Holy cow. That's 28 for Lenny Bias.
That ball looked suspiciously close to being in the cylinder, Mike.
Well, you go tell Bias, because I'm not going to. Clock is at 10. Gatlin blocked that shot. And Duke got it back. Henderson follows. Do you believe that? An offensive foul. I do not believe the basket will count, and Bias drew the charge. That was not a play Mike Krzyzewski wanted to see Henderson make.
Gatlin did a nice job that time staying with Amaker. He stayed close enough to him that he could block the shot. Good play by Lenny Bias. He really had no other choice.
78-69. Maryland is still alive.
Good play by Bias.
That's a good call, too. He just holds onto the basketball, and time runs out. A valiant comeback by Maryland, but it falls short as Mike Krzyzewski leaves the court. 81-75 is the final. Duke beating Maryland.